A large asteroid is expected to come close to Earth on April 29, 2020. Could this be the end of all life as we know it? Will humanity go the same way as the dinosaurs? Well, probably not, but we have to get your attention somehow. Yes, an asteroid is expected to fly somewhat close to Earth, and by close, we mean it will be approximately 4 million miles away. However, if it were to make impact, it would definitely cause some serious damage, since it has a diameter of between 1.1 and 2.5 miles. NASA has been tracking this particular asteroid since the 90s, so it's nothing new or scary to worry about. However, if you believe media outlets, you may think the end is nigh. But that doesn't mean Earth is completely out of the clear when it comes to meteor impacts. Meteors strike the planet on a fairly regular basis. Fortunately, they're usually much smaller and slow enough to where they tend not to cause too much damage. But as we'll soon see, that's not always the case. From 40,000 miles per hour superbolides to fireballs lighting up the night sky, here are 5 massive meteor impacts that were caught on camera. On February 15, 2013, without warning, a superbolide named the Chelyabinsk meteor entered the Earth's atmosphere. The meteor was a result of an even larger near-Earth asteroid that sped by the planet, traveling over 40,000 miles per hour. A piece broke off and flew over the southern Ural region of Eastern Europe. The light from the meteor was brighter than the sun and could be seen over 60 miles away. People who were near the event even stated that they could feel the heat emanating off the meteor. It's easy to see why from amateur footage caught of the meteor. The meteor ended up exploding in the air. This was due to a combination of its shallow angle of entry into the atmosphere as well as its intensely high velocity. The resulting explosion created a bright flash, a hot cloud of gas and dust. Numerous small fragmentary meteorites then fell over Russia as well as a massive shockwave. While much of the meteor's energy was absorbed by the atmosphere, there were plenty of Russians who felt its impact. Security footage from around the region shows people reacting to the blast as well as windows shattering. A news report dives into how the explosion affected everyone in the area. Some people were luckier than others. Classrooms with curtains were spared from too much broken glass injuring anyone.
These students were lucky, protected by curtains from the flying glass.
In total, over 1,000 people suffered injuries as a result of broken glass and other pieces of debris coming from the explosion. All of these injuries were indirect effects of the meteor rather than from the meteor on its own. What's truly shocking about this particular event is that the meteor went completely undetected upon entry, which is why it was such a shock to locals. The reason for this is that its source direction was incredibly close to that of the sun's. When you look at the energy released from the meteor prior to entering our atmosphere, it comes out to the equivalent of between 400 and 500 kilotons of TNT. That comes to about 26 to 33 times the amount of energy that was released by the atomic bombs dropped over Hiroshima. Of course, this isn't the same force it had once it reached Earth, but it's still a miracle that there were no fatalities as a result of the meteor. However, around 7,200 buildings did sustain damage due to the shockwaves. For a little while, it genuinely looked like the apocalypse was about to rain down on Russia. "2013 was a good or bad, depending on how you look at it, year for meteors. On April 22, 2013, a meteor exploded in the night sky over Argentina. While the resulting explosion was quite the sight to see, the meteor was still substantially smaller than the one that had exploded over the Ural Mountains in Russia earlier that year. Still, the video footage is pretty impressive to look at. There was a concert going on in the vicinity. Naturally, some people had their phones out to record the performance, but they also got an unexpected treat in the form of a meteor lighting up the night sky. The band earned a great deal of applause, but the crowd really got worked up when a meteor appeared just behind the stage. Elsewhere in the area, a camera pointed toward a city street also shows just how bright the surrounding area became. For a brief second, it just straight up looks like the middle of the day. The building in the background is fully visible, showing just how powerful and bright the meteor was. While the brightness is impressive to look at, there was no other real concerns like what happened in Russia. Scientists estimated this particular fragment was only around 20 centimeters in diameter, and it completely disintegrated before touching the ground. But that didn't stop thousands of people from all 8 provinces in Argentina from announcing their stories across social media. The light was seen for hundreds of miles, and fortunately, no injuries were reported in this instance. On November 18, 2009, a meteor lit up the sky over Utah just after midnight. A large ball of what looked like fire streamed across the sky. Video footage shows just how fast everything happened. You can see the meteor briefly before it explodes into a giant flash. The camera is overtaken by brightness until it goes back to nighttime. Residents in the area were naturally freaked out. Shortly after the meteor exploded, 911 calls erupted. Some of the calls that came in included one from a person in Ogden who reported, "I'm currently driving, but I just saw a giant blue flash in the sky and it came down into the city." Another caller from Salt Lake City expressed her fear when she told a 911 dispatcher, "Ma'am, I am not kidding you, I am terrified." Professor David Chieda, the chair of the astronomy department at the University of Utah, said the energy coming off this particular meteor was so strong it had to be measured in terawatts. A terawatt equals 1 trillion watts, and just to give you an idea of how powerful that is, planet Earth presently uses power from all energy sources at approximately a 17 terawatt rate. The blast was so powerful it could be seen as far away as Wyoming. In fact, a radio host for KSL News Radio said he saw the blast and momentarily believed the country was under attack. He told his listeners, "With something that brilliant and that fast, it was like, whoa, did we just get hit or something? It would have been some bigger noise, I guess, if a nuclear device had gone off." It was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of event the people of Utah will not soon forget. On November 20th, 2008, residents of Edmonton, Canada were treated to quite the light show. Hundreds of people in the area saw a meteor lighting up the sky at around 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. People could see a bright streak of light shooting across the sky. Police dashcam footage managed to capture the event on camera, where you can see the meteor falling through the sky before erupting in a bright light, making it look like the middle of the afternoon in the area. The police officer told the local newspaper that initially he thought it was just a standard shooting star. Then suddenly, it erupted into a ball of flames and quickly shot across the sky. It's definitely not the type of thing you expect to see while you're on duty. As soon as the meteor landed, meteorite hunters began to set out to find any fragments they could. Frank Florida, who works for the TELUS World of Science in Edmonton, told the Edmonton Sun, "We're trying to take all the reports and put them together in a meaningful conclusion as to where it might have fallen." It just goes to show that one outer space's rock is another man's treasure. Alan Hildebrand, who is a professor of geophysics and geology at the University of Calgary, was also quoted as saying that this was likely the biggest meteor that had been witnessed in Canada that year. A fireball meteor entered the Earth's atmosphere over Tasmania on September 20th, 2019. Many people saw the meteor, which ended up being about as small as a tennis ball as it flew overhead and then burst into a flash of light. It was also accompanied by a sound almost like thunder, which caused many people in the area to fear for the worst. When you look at the video footage, it's easy to see why.
Here it is, boys, here he is. Where's a champion? I mean, you could call me a lazy prick because it is just standing me straight, but I couldn't be fucked doing like 25 laps. So, you know. Oh my god. Did you say that?
The media interviewed many people who had witnessed the flash firsthand. One person was quoted as saying, "It was amazing. I honestly thought we were all goners." And there were other people who jokingly thought it was finally the aliens from Area 51 come to pay a visit. Experts said it would be extremely difficult for anyone to try to recover any fragments from this particular meteor. Fireball meteors tend to be extremely small, and they tend to disintegrate completely before reaching the ground. Experts also stated that these types of objects are almost impossible to predict because they're so small, typical equipment has a hard time picking them up. Luckily in this instance, the meteor didn't lead to any injuries, but if you were lucky enough to have been outside at the right time, then you were treated to a truly impressive light show. Some meteors simply burn up before reaching the ground. Others send shockwaves throughout the region that can cause severe injuries, and, in rare instances, lead to mass extinction events. They're an incredible and somewhat terrifying force of nature that humans will have to deal with until the end of time. If you want to see more caught-on-camera videos just like this, then be sure to let us know what topic you want us to cover in the comments down below. With that, thanks for watching, and tune in next time.